Explosion, a grenade explosion that was heard again in the Kokonag area in Anantnag, and this is also the fact that the gunfire has now resumed after a lull of 12 hours. My colleague Ishan Mani continues to be live from the very spot where the gunfire is being reported from. Remember, the media contingent has been asked to stay away about a kilometer away from the spot so that their safety is also ensured. I'll try and re-establish a connection with Ishan. All right, Ishan is through with us. Ishan, what's going on over there?
Well, yes, after that gunfire and that explosion that took place, there hasn't been any fresh firing.
Okay.
It seems like the army saw some suspicious there and then they fired at it, but we don't know whether it was a militant or it was something that they found suspicious. But there was no retaliatory fire as we heard from here. But everybody from the media is here. They're trying to get a first-hand visuals of what's happening and what's transpiring here. You will also see multiple teams of the Indian Army with specialized weaponry are stationed here, and many of them have actually gone into these mountain range. Now it's also difficult to take stuff up there. It's also not easy to take food and other water supplies there. Yesterday it has been more than now. It will touch 12 hours, more than 12 hours actually in some time since fresh deployment of troops were stationed there. So yes, it's not an easy operation for the forces to carry out. One, because it's a mountain terrain and it's difficult for them to go up there, but many teams have gone there. There were many special troops which were airlifted from Srinagar and other parts and then dropped here in Anantnag to make sure that they're able to go there. They're well trained and equipped as well. But one must also point out the fact that those who are hiding in these mountain ranges are very well trained and equipped. One, because the sort of damage that they have been able to inflict is an indicator of that training that they have got. So that which means essentially that there could be a foreign militant who could be part of that particular group, because police has pointed their fingers at Uzair, who is a local native, but apart from him, police is saying that there are possibilities of foreigners being with him. The sort of attack has been mounted on the forces yesterday gives a straight and direct indication of that. The other point I wanted to touch here is that the using of mountains, that is something where we have seen militants now being tactically using these mountains and not staying in the villages where the movement could be tracked down. There could be human intelligence there. And it will be interesting to see and learn that how did they generate input here in the mountain, whether they were spotted by some person or whether there was an intelligence input that was generated through the sources. But yes, to provide supplies to those who are hiding up there is a difficult task. It's not easy to provide supply there. So that is why the forces and the cracking down on the OGW nexus so that they could actually stop that oxygen, because they are the ones who provide supplies, medicine, food, money that is needed. So there is where the government is having a multiple agency approach. But as of now, the encounter is on. Large contingent of forces are in the area and the media is right here seeing this happen and unfold. But one has to see that how long does it take for the forces to conclude this particular operation.
Right, Ishan, since you mentioned the overground workers as part of the investigation process, how much of questioning is going to be involved vis-a-vis that? And I also wanted to understand, since you threw light upon the terrain that we are looking at, we also given to understand that these terrorists really entered through the Nepal route. If you can explain to our viewers the topography of this place and how does one realize how does this entry really happen through the porous Nepal border?
Well, Nepal has been used by them since a long time, be it those who have been previously involved in such activities and then staying in Pakistan and trying to come back to Nepal. That has been an easy access route for them, and that has been one of those favorite routes and something where police has been pointing fingers at since last 2-3 years that yes, there are indications that now Nepal route is being used. One, because the weapons are being dropped. You don't need to carry weapons. Weapons are being dropped through drones, and that is where that factor of not carrying a weapon comes. You drop drop a weapon through drones, and then you transport it to Kashmir Valley in trucks or through your sources. You source it and take it to Kashmir Valley, and then you hand it over to them right there. So you don't actually need to carry it. So Nepal route has been used, and it is something where now again yesterday Northern Army commander pointed out that this is something which is a concern, and they are trying to plug those gaps in and ensure that they are able to end that particular route for them. So yes, troop movement also happening here, but one terrain is important because there are natural caves towards the south of Peer Panjal. Those areas include Poonch and Rajouri, where militancy was there on peak during 2004, and then a massive operation by the Indian Army was launched, and after that, that area almost became militancy free for several years. It was only after almost 15 years or more that militancy started getting reactivated. One is because the additional movement of troops happening from that region because it was peaceful towards Ladakh sector when that Galwan clash took place. So they took an advantage of that there, and taking advantage of that situation, the Pakistan started sending and infiltrating through those Poonch Rajouri route. You now on every month basis you hear an encounter taking place in Poonch and Rajouri, and just yesterday we had 2 militants getting killed in Rajouri, and army jawan and a sniffer dog also lost his life in that operation. So yes, they're trying to fuel not only Jammu region but also Kashmir, and trying to ensure that they engage forces in this approach. But the forces have started pushing in more troops towards Rajouri Poonch to plug in those gaps and see those mountains, because it's not easy to climb on these terrain. The terrain can be unforgiving, and in a weather condition where the young Himalayas are located in Kashmir, it is not easy to climb because weather can get bad within no time, and that is where the difficulties lie. And then most of the troops in Kashmir have been trained to engage these militants in a urban setup, in a rural setup where house to house combat takes place, where the house is seen, monitored, and then engaged. But this is a new kind of trend we are seeing now. How the forces will be able to tackle with the situation, that will be very interesting to see.
Right, Ishan, I'd request you to stay on with us. We have reactions that continue to pour in on this unfortunate turn of events. In fact, News 18 has reported from the martyr's house. Let's take a look at what the family has to say after this tragedy befell on them.
अभी थोड़ी देर पहले ही सेना के अधिकारी यहाँ पहुंचे हैं। ये घर है जहाँ उनकी पत्नी रहती है, और क्योंकि ये ससुराल है, कर्नल मनप्रीत का ससुराल है, और उनकी पत्नी यहीं रहती थी क्योंकि उनका वो यहाँ स्कूल एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट में, हरियाणा के स्कूल एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट में लेक्चरर थी, तो वो यहीं रहते जी, क्योंकि मुल्लापुर से आना काफ़ी दूर था, तो वो अभी भी यहीं है पत्नी मौजूद। थोड़ी ही देर के बाद मुल्लापुर जो कर्नल मनप्रीत का गाँव है वहाँ के लिए रवाना होंगी। तो कहीं ना कहीं एक मंदभागी गल जरूर है, क्योंकि शहादत हुई है, और शहादत एक केवल कर्नल मनप्रीत की नहीं, जो मेजर हैं उनकी शहादत हुई है, और 3 जो सेना के अधिकारी हैं, बड़े अधिकारी, वो कहीं ना कहीं खो दिए हैं भारतीय सेना ने। तो एक बहुत बड़ी बात है। तो जो आतंकवादियों से मुठभेड़ करते हुए, और बच्चों की अगर बात करें तो 2 छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं, एक 2 साल की बिटिया है और एक 6 साल का बेटा है। तो 2 छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं कर्नल मनप्रीत के, और उन्होंने बताया कि 3-4 महीने के बाद वो घर ही आने वाले थे, और अभी जो मार्च में आए थे वो यहाँ, और यहाँ आकर के उन्होंने घर पे पहुंचे थे। तो
सर क्या स्टेटस है सर? एनकाउंटर का क्या स्टेटस है सर?
Akash Sharma was joining us on the broadcast for more details. Akash, we were just talking and taking our viewers through the infiltration bid that has, or in fact, Akash, I'd request you to stay on with us. I have to go back to Ishan. We are reporting yet another attempt at firing. The gunfire has resumed once again. Ishan, what's happening over there?
लगातार फायरिंग की आवाज हुई है।
Well, yes, there are few more grenades which are being hurled. Once again, it seems like the forces have seen some movement around that area, and that's why these grenades are being hurled. There are multiple UBGLs which are being hurled, and these are the mountains on your screens where the action is taking place. We wouldn't want to give out any specific location
Yes.
or area where
Yes.
this is happening, but I asked my camera person to just keep a wider frame to give them an idea that where the action is unfolding. But we are hearing grenades, we are hearing gunfire at the location. With precision they want to go about this operation, and that is why once again we are hearing these grenades being hurled by the security forces at the militants. Whether or not these are militants hiding there, or whether or not what exactly is there, one has to see. But yes, this is not an easy task, this is not an easy terrain to negotiate.